Welcome to the Ogles channel. Thanks for watching today. And let's talk about the Elden Ring DLC that's pretty much guaranteed to come out at this point. But when do we think it's going to be announced? When do we think it's going to be released? And of course, what do I think is going to be in the DLC when it finally does come out? Pause for a second. Editing Ogles here. I wanted to talk about the leak that was announced after I filmed this video and edited it all down. So I want to put it in here at least for a second. There was a hack on Bandai Namco, and somebody on 4chan or something like that put out a leak, as I put in quotation marks there because I don't think it's real here, as far as a predicted Elden Ring release date in Q3 of next year. That's a really long time away, called Barbarians of the Badlands. Not to mention people think that name sounds fake, but also included in the leak that came out, they had things that were just simply not going to come out, like Little Nightmares Part 3, Code Vein Part 2. Those are games that are not expected to have sequels or any more sequels in the series. And also the Tekken 8 logo, that was fan made, a good while back, and for them to just stick it in there obviously shows that this leak was fake here. But so I'm not going to talk about that leak in my predictions because I don't think it's real. Simple as that. But I at least want to include the leak that's been, mentioned here that came out after I filmed and edited this video. But onward to my predictions. Now, when we talk about release dates, of course, we can look back at From Software's history a little bit to sort of figure out when the predicted announcement and predicted release date is going to be for the DLC. Now, as we go back through their history here, Sekiro, it didn't really have any DLC. It had some add-on content, so we're not going to talk too much about that one for this particular video because of the lack of DLC. However, if we go back to Dark Souls 3, we can look at it. It came out on March 24th of 2016. And of course, the DLC got announced for that on August 24th, so 4 months later, and then it actually came out 7 months later on October 24th. So that sort of gives us a timeline for Dark Souls 3. 4 months until the DLC was announced, 7 months until, of course, the DLC itself actually came out. Let's go back one game further. Let's talk about Bloodborne. Bloodborne came out on March 24th, 2015. The DLC was announced on September 15th, so 5 months later. It actually came out on November 24th, so 8 months later after the game, of course, initially came out. So as you look at these two games here, it appears that From Software has a pattern of announcing their DLC somewhere between 4 and 5 months after the initial release date, and then, of course, releasing the DLC 7 to 8 months after the initial game came out. So if we look at Elden Ring, it came out in February of 2022. So we're probably looking at sometime in late July or to late August for the announcement, and then, of course, late September to late October for the actual release of the DLC. Now, is that a guaranteed? Of course not. That's just my predicted guess of when these DLCs are going to be announced, when they're going to be released. But if you look back at their history, it does sort of match up with that. And also, in generally speaking, DLC gets announced sooner than later for these games because they see the success and they want to sort of cash in on that and pull players back into the world that they've worked so hard to create to begin with. And From Software has already announced that they really want to expand the Elden Ring lore. They want to expand their Elden Ring, I forgot the word they used. They didn't say games. They said the Elden Ring, I guess like franchise or something like that. And so I'm not sure exactly what From Software meant by it, but almost certainly more DLC is coming for Elden Ring. Now, what do I think the DLC is going to focus on? Because obviously it's going to have to do something with the story, with the lore, and it's going to have something to do with the world that's already been created. So what do I think they're going to go for the direction? Now, some people think that they're going to first focus on the Colosseum, which is going to be used for PvP or even boss runs, which are both pretty cool ideas. I mean, nearly all their games have had some sort of PvP arena or area within it, so it's sort of odd that they left this one out to begin with, and I think it's almost certainly they're going to add in there because these Colosseums, they already exist within the game. There are 3 of them inside the game already, and each one's completely finished on the inside. You just simply can't enter into them without glitching the game out or using the PC version to sort of break boundaries and things like that. So these are already finished areas, except they don't have any activities to do inside the areas. So I think this will be the first update. Now, I think this is going to be an update. I don't think this is going to be a DLC because these areas are already created. And of course, they gave us some free updates when it came to Sekiro. So I think they're going to do a free update when it comes to Elden Ring as well. And this is going to be the PvP arena. And so my guess is it's going to drop on the time of the first DLC. And so if you want to buy the DLC, it's going to come out. Great. But if not, you do still get some free content coming from the Elden Ring franchise. Now, the DLC itself, I think the clouds around the map is what's going to relate most to what the DLC is going to be. The main cloud is, of course, this mysterious one that's placed right between all the divine towers. It lines up pretty much perfectly, and there's no way they did that with just simply no intentions at all. Now, this is my personal guess about this, but I think the divine towers are ancient towers that all predate the Erd Tree, and of course the Elden Ring itself, and they're related more to the power of the original Great Tree that's hinted at throughout the game. Now, they were all built equal distance from this Great Tree, if it's, of course, if my theory is correct here, and they're positioned so that they could, of course, see the tree from atop the tower, which would be where the cloud, of course, is now. Now, when the tree was destroyed and replaced with the Erd tree, I think any memory of the original Great Tree was set to be erased, and so there's areas to be forgotten about and covered up within the maps with clouds and things like that. Now, I think a DLC idea would be great for them to focus on, time traveling back to the original Great Tree and the time period when it was originally destroyed, some of the focus of the lore when it comes to that, about the Scarlet Rot when it first came into place, and go through all of that and some of the characters that we already have in the game, some of their earlier lore. And it's really not that much of a stretch to do some sort of time travel, because you got to think back. Dark Souls did time travel. Bloodborne did time travel. I mean, From Software has done time travel in the past, and so I wouldn't put it past them at all to do some time travel to explore the lore inside of Elden Ring, and I can't think of any better way to do it than to focus on this mysterious cloud that's simply just stuck right there in the middle of the map that everyone is asking questions about. But that cloud's not the only cloud on the map. You can see clouds all around the edges, and I think that's another idea for possible DLC, because I don't really know if From Software is going to stop with just one DLC, or even if my first idea is the main DLC. So another one they could do is they could focus on exploring out to the edges of the map, possibly by doing more of a seafaring game to go along with that, or sea travel. Now, sea travel is not currently in the game at all, but it was clearly thought of at some point or another, because one of the classes is a seafarer, and there are ships that are actually accessible in the oceans as cut content if you explore out past the boundaries. And so I think we could end up setting sail and finding some new islands around the map, explore and uncover some of these cloud areas. I don't think it's going to be like a pirate game or anything like that, but I think just simply finding ships and then setting sail to new islands, and you just get to explore in more of a traditional format. Perhaps like they did with Dark Souls 2, how they announced 3 DLCs all at once, and then they just simply preview the 3 different islands that you're going to get to explore inside of Elden Ring. This is going to open up some more of the lore outside of course, the main island itself, and I can't guarantee From Software is going to do either of my ideas, and I would probably prefer them to focus on the first of it, but I really think this would be a cool idea to continue to expand the game as, of course, the years go on. But overall, the possibilities are nearly endless on what the DLCs can hold, but I cannot imagine From Software is not going to do a DLC for this game, if not multiple DLCs for the game, and I also think that the Coliseum is going to be a free update and not part of DLC, and it will drop probably at the same time as the DLC for all players to enjoy. But what do you all think? Do you expect the Coliseum to be free content? When do you expect the DLCs to come out? Do you think there will be DLCs that are going to be announced? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, go out there, find a great game to play, just simply have a great rest of the day.